Hi girls. It's great to be able to talk to you today. I studied economics when I was at school and it was the best decision I ever made. And Mr. Longo was my favorite teacher. He's so intelligent. Anyway, Mr. Longo has asked me to talk to you about trade protection in Australia. Wow, I loved that topic at school. But back then, Australia used to be called Fortress Australia. We used to block cheap imports coming into Australia just to protect employment. Mr. Longo used to tell us that it was destroying our standard of living. And he was so right. Why would I want to pay twice as much for cars and clothes? A girl needs to look good, don't you think? When the government began reducing tariffs in the 1980s, many inefficient industries became threatened because they could not compete with cheaper imports. So they had to make a decision. Either to cut costs and inefficient work practices or go out of business. Some businesses were able to compete and consumers were better off. Others simply went out of business. And consumers were still better off. But at least Australia was not wasting our scarce resources on wasteful industries. But what about the people who were put out of work, I hear you say? Well, they needed to be retrained, didn't they? We needed a better trained, more educated workforce to produce the goods and services the world needed and that we could export. And we've been very successful, haven't we, Mr. Longo? Just like you said we would. God, I love that man. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, I was telling you that Mr. Longo was wonderful. No, that's not it. I was saying that Australia is so much better off now that we have removed protection from our trade industries. In fact, Australia is one of the leading countries in removing trade barriers. Did you know that? Farah. Are you eating carrots again? It's very distracting. Okay, back to trade. Unfortunately, the rest of the world has been slow to follow Australia's lead. It really annoys me. Did you know that Japan still blocks Australian rice exports? Oh, you already told them that, Mr. Longo. They're so lucky to have you. I still remember your bucket theory, brilliant. Have you heard about the World Trade Organization? Silly question. Of course you have, Mr. Longo is your teacher. Well, Doha has done little to free up world trade, so Australia has been negotiating bilateral agreements. Do you know some? That's right. America, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, and we're now negotiating with China and Japan. The future looks rosy. So now you know a little about Australia's trade policy. Free trade rocks, sisters. Well, it's time for me to go now. It's been wonderful talking to the girls from my old school, Beverly Hills Girls High. If you need a job after your HSC, look me up at the New York Stock Exchange. I'll see what I can do. Now, Mr. Longo. Do you have their worksheet ready? They look like they're ready to work hard. After all, you can't spoon feed them all the time like you did for us. Thanks again for having me. Bye.